Hello, friends. Happy Monday. OMG, Skogsy. How's it going, Zach? Spicy miso. Happy Monday. Thanks for following, Strahd. um, Skogsy, how was the Chicago Pen Show? And anyone else who went? I'm sure people are going to stream in or filter in soon, and I will definitely ask everyone. How was your weekend? How was the Chicago Pen Show? Hi, Sandy. How's it going? Good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you had a good weekend. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Happy time zone. And I hope wherever you are, the weather's okay. Because in British Columbia, it is warm. Well, outside of the Vancouver area, where I am, it is hot. It's been hot for the last couple of days. We have summer weather in spring, which is so out of the norm. I'm sweating. But the good news is we're going back to sort of regular temperatures in the next few days and this sort of coming week. So I'm kind of looking forward to that because going from winter to just the hot summer weather it's a lot. So I'm one of those people who kind of likes the gradual entry into spring and summer, but here we are. So it's nice. Just got back late last night from Chicago. Oh, you have a sore throat? No. Your brain is functioning at about 8%, I'm sure. Sore throat, yes. I'm sure you were, jabbering away as you do at the pen shows, right? You gotta socialize and sort of put yourself out there and almost over socialize. And then when you get back, it's like all that adrenaline dump or, trying to rejuvenate yourself. What's the word I'm looking for? Recharge. Yes. Trying to recharge and get back into routine and get ready for the next show, right? What's your next show, Skogsy? Hello, dupes. You're back from Chicago too. Yay. It was such a good show. Oh, I'm so glad to hear. I saw some pictures, some video. But from what I saw and what I heard, seems to have been that everyone had fun and that it was a good time. So, yeah, I hope it was. I hope you got everything you wanted and maybe a little bit more. And I hope you were able to see everyone you wanted to see, because I always feel like that's the most important part of a pen show is to, see our friends and reconnect and catch up on all the things, which is super fun. DC is next. Wow. That's awesome. But it also means you have a little bit of time, right? So I know that's going to be a lot of prep. And are you going to be in SF, Skogsy? I forget. But yeah, that's a lot of prep. So get to it. It's just one after the other, isn't it? You went to the extreme spicy. You found a bottle of Suchi. You picked up another Elva Dubes. Leave some for the rest of us. I'm just kidding. That's awesome. I still need to get one. It's on my list. You're going to be at SF also. Okay, cool. If you're not aware of Skogsy, you should definitely check out Zach's pens. Let me just share. And it looks like you have, did you already put them up? 7 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so not yet, but there's some pens going up. So if you missed it, check out Skogsy. There will be leftover pens, I guess. But I'm sure vendors are going to be doing that. Makers who have pens, from the show and whatever else they kind of still have, make it available for people who weren't able to go to the show or who wanted to be there and couldn't. So it's kind of nice. Thank you for putting your pens online so that other people can access them as well, especially if they couldn't make it to the show physically. It was one of my favorite blue color and couldn't resist dupes. Blue, yeah, I hear you. And sometimes, depending on when you went, if there's like a wide selection of different colors and different materials, I kind of get in that like I want them all, which one should I get? But it's usually the one that you're drawn to and the one that you can't stop looking at. So you probably made the perfect choice for you. Bye, Apple Tater. How's it going? I meant Tsukushi. My bad. It's all good, Spicy. First time on Twitch. Nettie? That's awesome. Welcome in, though. I'm glad you're here. Your first show, Sandy, will be DC. You're saving up. Yeah. You have to. Saving up, making a budget, making a wish list, doing all of the research on who's going to be there and how you're going to sort of maneuver the show floor, who you're going to see first, what kind of things you want, and then saving up for all the things. I'm doing the same for SF. I'm trying to figure out where I need to go, what I need, and how much it's going to cost me. You Googled every single city name in Belgium? Oh, wow. You looked for every single stationery store and then went to hunt them. Yeah, I won't ask how long that took you because I can imagine it took a long time. How's it going, Derek? You're pondering a second Elva to pair with a needlepoint of some sort. Yes, that's a good idea. Having them with different nibs, especially if you like it, if you already have one and you enjoy using it, right? Why not get another one with a different nib and then you got two ready to go? Also, you made a custom blue ink with Sven to match the Elvid. That is so cool. I'm excited for that. I can't wait. I hope you share that with us because I can't wait to see that. That would be so cool. Yeah, no worries, Cogsy. I got you. You couldn't be here for a bit. Oh, no. It's all good. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you all had a good time at the show. That's always what I want to hear, right? That you had fun, that you saw people, right? You had fun and hung out with stationary people, and that you got some things that you're happy with and that you're excited to use. And I'm sure over the next few days we'll start to see everyone's hauls and photos of what everyone saw and got, and video and stuff like that. So I can't wait to see. Elvid is first on your list, Sandy. Yeah, it's pretty high up there. It is super, super cool. I think I'm open to the idea of architect nibs. I think you should be, Spicy. Architect nibs are great. Left-handed writers seem to love them. That's awesome. I like architect nibs for a righty, so you'll post on IG. Okay, awesome, cool. Yeah. And you will be at SF too. Yay! Yeah. I can't wait. There's so many people going to SF that it's like a whole reunion thing, and I can't wait. You found a Nibmeister here in Europe? Okay, cool. Galen Leather is awesome. Yeah, they are awesome. If curious, I ended up coming home with an additional 3 typewriters from... Look, Derek, I was going to ask, but I didn't because I knew you would share that. That is so cool. 6 total new ones came home with me. And do you have space in your nice little shelving unit for those 6 new ones? That is so cool. Which one of those are you super excited about? Goes fast. Oh, you're on it. I found this thought it might help you visualize Tacha Sabi Midori. What is that, Spicy? Ooh, that is nice. Yeah. Let's see if I can share that. That's nice. chameleon ink that goes down dark blue teal. Then it dries and reveals this killer burgundy rust sheen. That is very, very cool. Yeah, that's very cool. Hi, Archaeopen. How are you? How was your weekend? We're just talking Chicago Pen Show. Anything else you've been up to? Any stationery that you've acquired recently that you're really excited about? Or typewriters as well, right? They're part of it. Stationery adjacent tools and things. You traded a pen for one of them. That is interesting. You know what? You might as well, right? They're all on the shelves already. Oh, that's so cool. Awesome. It's the ink on different papers. Okay, interesting. I think so far the one that types in script will be a long-term favorite. You know what? If it types in script, that is so cool. I like the classic typewriter font look, but the script style that you can get from a typewriter, that is so cool, like super, super interesting. And they're not common, right? Like you can't find them as easily as you can a classic typewriter. No complaints, got in a few Switchman Penco inks. Very cool. Have you swatched them yet? I can't say I'm familiar with Switchman Penco. Interesting. Yeah, it's always interesting to hear people's perspective. Papier Plume released the Loop inks on their site. Oh, what is this? The Loop inks. We must look this up. The Loop. Oh, okay. Let's take a look. Oh, thanks for the link, Archaeopen. Okay, here we go. What do we have here? The Loop series includes 5 15 ml bottles. Colors in green line, brown line, pink line, purple line, and orange line. The series is in honor of the Chicago Pen Show, paying homage. Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. Okay. So these are the ones that Inkdependence Mike swatched last week, right? Ooh. Ah, nice. You know what? I like this range of different colors. Like depending on which one you're, more likely to use. I like this. The purple, the brown, that's nice. The green is like a very bright green. Not very bright green, but bright green. It stands out. Very cool. And if you went to the Chicago Pen Show, did you get the show inks? I don't know if any other pen show, I'm sure there are other pen shows who have that many show inks. It's amazing. It's like whichever one you want, whatever shade you're drawn to, it's there. They're out there, but normally have a price premium. Yeah, Derek, I figured. Like, the script style is special. That's the Drum Ghouls in-house brand. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Oh, interesting. Hi, Fountain Pen News. Happy Monday. How are you? How was your weekend? Yeah, Chicago Pen Show inks. Well, the work begins again. It's another week. It's another Monday. Here we go again. But you know us. You know, on this stream, especially on Mondays, we take it easy. We take it slow because that's how I start my week. is slow, relaxing, get into the groove, and then try and set the vibe for the rest of the week, which is not intense. Bring the intensity down. Derek, you met Michelle, who runs paperblogging.com. Aha. I'm not familiar with this either. It looks like a site that most of us would enjoy. Let's see. Paperblogging.com. I like the cover image there. The header. Analog Joys Explored Online. Oh, okay, gotcha. Give yourself permission to create. That's awesome. Very cool. It looks like a variety of different sort of topics and stuff. Totally typewriters. That's cool. Okay, so there's guest posts and stuff too. Oh, I'm definitely going to come back to this and look around. This is very cool. Thank you for sharing that, Derek. Hellcat, you got an ink from Papier Plume and Stationery Universe that's close to Akebi. Really? Fruit Blossom. Papier Plume, Sepia? Sazerac too. Is there a European ink you would like? No, I'm good, Spicy. I appreciate it, but I'm good. I have way too many inks. But the one I don't have is a Kebi. Switchman pen is fantastic ink. Oh, good. That's good. That's good that it's like good quality. Busy weekend, but good. Yeah, that's basically how mine went too. And next thing you know, it's Monday. How did we get here so fast? Today I get to go help some kids get set up with their new fountain pens they're getting as an award. That is so exciting, fountain pen news. That's so cool. Start them right. Start them right. People in chat keep hurting. Oh no, Spicy. It's all with love. Even the teasing. I traded her the purple and black pen for a typewriter. She said Brad links her on occasion on Misfell. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I like Brad's Misfell edition. Because there's so much on there that's like just really good stuff. Okay, you sent a picture with Blossom ink. It's time to get shipping. Right? Sometimes we need modern solutions. Isn't that true? Kirk Spear helped me get all of the pens. It's very exciting. Oh, that's so great. They're getting Twisby Diamond 580s and a bottle of ink. That's very, very cool. Speaking of Twisby, has anyone got the root beer edition or latest release? And then also, did anyone get the Traveler's Notebook 20th anniversary cute little mini size cover and box? Because I didn't. I'm very happy with my Plotter Mini 5. I could have used a Traveler's company or Traveler's Notebook cover in that size probably a year ago when I really wanted something that small to travel with and just kind of use as an EDC. And after I started using the Plotter Mini 5, I was like, yeah, this is my solution. And I've been, it's great for travel. It's great for just carrying around everywhere. And being able to take out papers and the flexibility of it works really well. So I don't want to, as much as I want to get a TN 20th anniversary cover, I also don't, because I just don't think I would put it to good use. So yeah, but I am so happy to see other people get it and share how they've set it up and how they're liking it so far. I've seen quite a few wallet setups of the TN cover, and it looks so, so cute. It looks so cute, but you don't use your Mini 5 Hellcat, so you decided no? Yeah, I mean, that's another reason, right? If that size just doesn't work for you in general, then, what's the point? But also, if you want to collect it, that's cool. I can't. I can't get it because then I'll be tempted, and also I'll put pressure on myself to use it, and I just don't think I would put it to good use. You did, and it's your wallet now, Derek. I think you have a YouTube video about it, right? Or am I just making that up? I thought you did. I was tempted by the 20th anniversary, but I already have the 10th. I do too, Magical Quill. It is this cutie that sits on my at my desk. And it is... Oh, there we go. It's so small. It's so small. And no, I don't use this either. Even though I did at first. I did a couple, small drawings, very minuscule drawings, probably a year ago or so. And then I was just like, I'm going to move on. But it's so cute. It's so tiny. I saw the little travelers in person. Yeah, you did, Dubes? It's cute, but probably too small to be practical. Yeah. If you're not going to use it as like a wallet or an EDC type, where you're just like carrying it around and just kind of throwing notes in there or making lists, I just, it is tough to think of like how you could make it be useful to you in like a daily sense, or, because it's so small. Like, are you going to journal in it, or, unless you're like using it as like just a sole like travel journal, or, throw collages in there or something like that. Like, I feel like that kind of size, you do have to think through a little bit, where it's like, it's so limited in terms of space that if you're going to use it for a certain purpose, right, it can get frustrating if it's not enough space for something. But I have seen a lot of videos, and Instagram's like full of, posts about people enjoying it. So it's super, super cool to see. And hi, Magical Quill. But right now my fave purple is Tom Studio Iris. That's a good ink, Hellcat. That's a nice purple. You're going to go on a hunt for a new purple, Spicy? Sailor Fuji must be fun. Yeah. Yeah. When you see other people's 10th anniversary, I've seen people sort of like tuck these into the Traveler's Bear with like an apron or something like that, or they attach this to like a large size, like a regular size TN cover or something like that. It's really cool. It's very cute. Oh, your video. Okay, awesome. Thanks for sharing the link, Derek. I'll take a look later. I thought I saw it pop up and I was like, I have to look at this. That's perfect as a key ring. Oh, Dubes was a great mule to help with getting ink. Yeah, Dubes is awesome. I'm glad you got your ink. The Plotter Mini 5 board and pen loop can work great in the 20th anniversary. Yeah. I'm going to save this so I can watch it later. Oh. Okay. Out of curiosity, is Esterbrook Journaling nib mini stub? It is not. The journaler, do you mean the journaler? Is ground by Gina from Custom Nib Studio, so it is unique to how Gina would grind that specific type of nib. It is similar to a stub. It is similar to like a SIG from Franklin Christoph that Audrey grinds. It's similar to those types of nibs. Same family, maybe. But it's not the same as a mini stub. A mini stub is a medium version of a regular stub, if that makes sense. You love it, Kevy, but it's definitely not purple. It's not purple. I wouldn't call it purple. You're looking for a sheen less Akebi. Pilot did a great job with the new ink. Yeah. Akebi minus the sheen. Yeah, it is pretty sheeny. No showing unless the Stationery universe counts as one. Hey, let's count it as one. It's an unofficial one though, right? But it's fine. It's a Chicago or it was it launched or released or seen at the show adjacent. I did not order the Twisby root beer. Yeah, because brown. Fountain pen news, you're probably the last person I would expect to get the root beer. But if you did, it's not because it's brown. You did order the Chinese exclusive Sakura white with painted cherry blossoms. I think anything with cherry blossoms. Like, did anyone get the re-released version or re-release of the Esterbrook and Bungu Box cherry blossom pen? Because it's so pretty. But anything that's like that vibe, like floral, cherry blossom, something that evokes that feeling of spring and bloom, and it's a nice, relaxing sort of like chill, very pretty kind of pen and style. Well, I finally got my hands on Canopus paper. Excited to try it out. Yeah, let me know what you think, Dubes. Speaking of Canopus paper, I will be using it as I do for my drawing today. So, but I am curious to hear how other people are enjoying it as well and how they're using it. If you're using it for journaling or writing in, and how it feels when you're using your fountain pens in it. I would get the root beer if the hardware was Onyx. Oh, I have heard that, Hellcat. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that being a thing. Maybe they should have done like both versions. I don't know. I just want all of the blotter papers that go with the fancy Esterbrook releases. That the Cherry Blossoms blotter paper, all of the ones, they're done by Anna. And I forget what her Instagram handle was. I think it's like anyways, I'm not gonna say the wrong one. So, but yeah, it is it's hand drawn, hand painted, hand done, handmade, hand done. And they are all so pretty. All of the ones that Esterbrook releases with their sets and with their collections, they're just so on point, right? They use the right colors, it's the right imagery, and it goes so well together, the whole collection. And I think they had a tote as well, like, oh. Your local stationery store asked if they should order Canopus. You said yes, Fountain Pen News. Yeah, 100%. It is definitely a nice paper option, especially if you like the Cosmo Air Light sort of feel, but it's less like texturally smooth or shiny or that kind of feel to it. I feel like it grips pens a little bit better than I felt on Cosmo Air Light. But, I love to hear other people's sort of take on it as well. You used inks for a while. It's super fun, but can cross the Monster Sheen category. Diamine Holly. Yes, I know that. I know that ink. I had a sample of it a couple years ago, and it's like, yeah, it is sheeny. I want another one of those really sheeny ones. I've really been enjoying Canopus paper. RKO? Oh, awesome. Got in loose leaf form. Okay. I hope they come out with a dot grid. Yeah, right? Do they still only have blank available? Because that's the one they brought to the SF Pen Show. Was it last year? Yeah, last year. But they didn't have dot grid or anything like that available at the time. But I assume that, as they get more, in stock at different retailers and stuff like that, I feel like they should probably have variations of format, but who knows? You have a couple of Hellcat? The only different one is Coffee Monster? Yeah, completely blank paper turns me off. The only time I use blank paper is for art, for sketchbooks, and then also in my traveler's notebook passport size, because I don't mind using the pencil board as a grid in those blank lightweight inserts. So for that reason, I like them. But yeah, if I'm using a notebook for journaling or writing, I tend to get a grid or graph. What do we call it? Grid format, or dot grid, or, if I have to, lined. But lined is more like, if I'm just taking notes or just writing for the sake of writing. But if it's kind of like journaling and I'm going to have stickers, or I want it to look aesthetically nice, then usually I'm into, I'll do a grid format type. But so we'll get into what we're doing today, which, as you can see, is just going to be flower drawing practice. So I try to do this every Monday on my stream, just trying to practice drawing flowers based off of a reference photo. It's great to practice that, especially if you like to draw abstract, or also if you just kind of like to draw from your imagination, but you kind of want to pull from realism. So you want it to look somewhat realistic. And a lot of times our memories, or, when you're drawing something, you're pulling from your memory. So you're pulling from what you've seen, and what makes sense. And I find that when I practice drawing based off of a photo, or if I'm looking at something and I'm trying to mimic it, then I find that it helps with muscle memory. And then, in the future, when I just sit down to just draw, just to kind of do some art or be creative, I find that it's a little bit easier for me to pull from, my memory of what I've seen in the past and what I've practiced. And the more it's all about practice, right? The more you do it, the easier and more confident you feel. And so that's why I try and do it. I don't always make time for it, but because we're on stream, you're here for it. So this is what I did last Monday. And I like to use different papers and different stationery tools, because I do love all things stationery. So I try and use my supplies when I can. And try not to stick to just one supply. I try and use, a variety of them to get a feel for what they are like on different types of paper. And so one of the notebooks I'm using is the Canopus note from Yamamoto paper. And I just literally started this book a couple of weeks ago. So I only have, or 3 weeks ago, I think. So I only have 3 drawings in it so far. But we're going to build on that. And, keep going. And I really like the paper so far, drawing on it, and the way it sort of, reflects back vibrant colors, and how it feels as well when you're drawing and using different supplies on it. So that's one of the notebooks. And then the second notebook is just a Midori cotton notebook. So Midori, usually if you get a notebook from them, it will be a cream paper, but it's smooth. And this one is a cotton notebook, so cotton paper notebook, and it's slightly textured, which is great for pencils, coloring pencils. Anything that has graphite tends to sort of work really well on this type of paper, because it's still soft, but it has enough of a smooth texture that it sort of has, grip for graphite that you use on the paper. So it's kind of a really, really nice, gentle experience for, using colored pencils, or that kind of like pastels and stuff like that will be really nice on it as well. So I'm going to first use the Canopus, and last week we did the ranunculus, and this sort of orangey yellow brownish palette. Today we're going to do the Autumn Anemone, or Japanese anemone, which is pale purple, and the season that you'll see these flowers, if you see them at all, is during the fall. But I thought they're like really pretty, and I like the colorway of it, so I think it would be really fun to try and practice drawing this. In case you haven't seen this before, I use the Flower Color Guide as my reference book by Taylor and Michael Putnam. And it is basically like a coffee table book of just all kinds of different flowers, ordered by colors. So, you know, depending on what you're looking for in terms of colorway, you can kind of, you know, find different flowers that fall in these different palettes. And I think the point of the book is, you know, if you're into flower arranging or you like sort of putting together different flowers, this is a great reference book. But in my case, it's really interesting to sort of flip through this and find different flowers to draw, because they come in all, you know, all sorts of shapes, sizes, colors, and quantity. So in that way, it's really interesting for me. And then also it's a great way to practice different types of petals, different types of leaves that you might find in a bouquet, or you know, if you're drawing a bunch of flowers. So so that's kind of the gist of what I'm doing, and yeah, so we'll get into it. I know they offer guiding sheets, but on the other side, it's incredibly hard to see at times. Yeah. Hey, to each their own, right? Some people enjoy blank paper, some people don't. Some people like lined paper, some people don't. So whatever sort of works for you, right? Back to work, be safe. Okay, Hellcat, have a great day. And hopefully it goes well. Work hard, but don't work hard. Okay, so for this, I'm going to use Tombow dual brush pens. So I have a whole bunch of them, all 108 different colors. And I like to use brush pens for hand lettering, but also for coloring and for adding color to my work. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pick out 4 to 5 colors that I think sort of capture the different shades that I see here. And then I'll show you how I add color using brush pens. So I'm also going to test out the colors, because sometimes when you see them, when you look at the caps, you know, you sort of expect a certain color, but they're not always true to, or, you know, they're not always what you kind of expect. Sometimes they're a little brighter, sometimes they're a little darker. And I want to get a yellow that mimics the colorway of the seeds or the center of the flowers. So probably something that's bright, but maybe a little darker. Okay, I think I'll go with that. And then I want a green. So let's do a dark green. Maybe not that. And a bit of a lighter green as well, I think. And then we have the sort of purpley magenta color. There's a little bit of magenta type, like purple pink, and then a deeper purple. So let's see. Something like that for the darker color. And then a little bit lighter. Something like this. Yeah. Okay. And the yellow, I don't know if I want this yellow. No. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so we're gonna go with these colors. So I have my brush pens. Then I also use a blending palette from Tombow, and to transfer the colors, I use a colorless blender, which is a brush pen that has no color. So that's why it's called a colorless blender, because you essentially use this to blend colors together or to transfer color onto here. And that means you can mix colors. You can, sort of get those in-between shades of if you have two colors and you want something in between it. Or you can sort of do a gradient and pick up that color and transfer it onto paper. And so it's very versatile in that way. And probably one of the most underrated products from Tombow that I, have found to be really, really fun to play around with. So it was nice to have you in stream, Dubes. I'm glad you had fun in Chicago, and I will see you in other streams. Yeah, need to continue catching up, right? It is what it is. Yeah. I love the grid Muji did for their papers. Yeah, Muji's great. Hi, Neato Girl. How's it going? You bought one of the markers this weekend to try? Awesome. Let me know how you like it. And hopefully you do like it. Hopefully you do find it useful and have fun with it. Okay, so once I have the colors, I'm going to transfer them onto this blending palette. So I just color in a little bit. This is going to be more of the green. And usually the size of how much color I add to here will be based on how much of that color I'll probably use, but it doesn't really matter because you can keep adding color to the blending palette. It's not like it's going to dry out or anything like that. So this purple. So what I'm going to try and practice and play around with is, in this reference photo, you can see that some of these flowers are very light. So they have just a slight shade of purple to them, but they're so light that it looks like it's almost white. And so I kind of want to play around with adding just enough color to have a light sort of flower, but also more so play around with adding the lines to show us that there's a flower there, right? Because otherwise, if there was no line work here, it would look blank. It would be really, really hard to see that there's a flower there. So instead of relying on the color to show us that there's a flower and the petals and the shapes and stuff, I'm going to try and use some light color more so to dictate where the flower is, and then draw lines on top to add some of that detail so that when we look at it, our eyes kind of show us like, yeah, there's a flower, but it's very light. So in contrast, we have some of the darker purple sort of buds here, and some darker petals as well. So yeah, I'm going to kind of play around with that. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. We'll see where this goes. But personally, when I do this kind of practice, I try not to put too much pressure on myself. It's hard when I'm doing it on stream because I do want it to kind of turn out really nice. But at the same time, I do want to sort of give myself some space just to play around with what I'm seeing and trying to capture it onto paper. And just have fun with it in practice. So that next time when I'm doing this, I kind of know, and I feel a little bit more confident doing it. So that's how I approach this. I'm going to start with the center of the flower because then I kind of know where to go from there with the color. And I think I will do that with some of the other ones as well. Because then I know composition-wise where my flowers are going to be located. Basically eyeballing where they are and how much space I kind of need. And I also don't need it to look exactly the same as what I'm looking at here. More so wanting to look like the flowers to look close to what I see, just because I am trying to draw the specific flower or flowers. So if I can have them look similar, then that's better practice for me. So if you transfer color onto the Colorless blender and you no longer need it or want it on there, just simply wipe it off on your blending palette by rotating and coloring on there. So, and then you can kind of see there's no more color on there and you can pick up a different color if you want. So now I'm going to use this really, really light purple, which I think might actually look a little darker on this paper, but it's okay. So I'm just going to color block where the petals are going to be. And then blend it in. Then add a little bit more where the petal is folding in. So what I'm looking at right now is this part here. We can see just slightly, it's slightly darker than it is for the rest of the petals. So trying to capture that a little bit. And then here, there's petals folding inwards a little bit and then down. So this kind of practice is really helpful for practicing and also looking at perspective, especially with flowers and bouquets, where, you know, if you want it to look realistic, then it helps to play around with perspective. Some flowers are pointing downwards, some are kind of head on, you're looking at them. Others are, you know, they're folding a different direction. And it's helpful to practice that as well. So I'm going to start with light color first and then layer dark on top. And then that way, if I make a mistake or I feel like it should be bigger or, you know, look a little different, I can do that with a darker color. I need a little bit more color here. Okay, and the other ones are kind of buds. Except for this one, which kind of looks like it's up here. And it's pointing to the side. Like that. Maybe add a little yellow in there as well. I think. Yeah. Okay, then I have something here. These are all just going to be little buds, little baby flowers. Right, now I can go in with my slightly darker color and add a little bit in here as well. And then because this is a dual brush pen, it has a brush tip on one side, so you get a broad brush tip, and then on the other side you get a like bullet tip, so it's more like a fine liner or pointed marker, and it's great for adding details. So same deal, you can pick up a color, right, and it's like very fine point. So if you just kind of want to add a little bit of color, but not so much, you can use it for sketching as well. Just a little bit more helpful when you're adding details. I do like the brush tip though because it's softer. Okay, and then here we have a little bit of color. color there. All right, I think that's pretty good. This is crazy. Did I just stop work and go get the Tombows to try? Yes. I love that needle girl. And also when the mood strikes, right? Like when you're kind of like, oh, I do want to try that out. Go get it. If you can. Why not? Green is one color family I don't have a lot of experience aside from Holly and what Brad gave me. Yeah. I have a lot of olive green shades. And I think more true green colors I tend to use for painting. Because for... Oh, actually, I don't need this. For inking up my pens, I usually just go with like the olive shades. Off greens, green yellows, green browns, stuff like that. Okay, so let's start with this color. I'm going to try and draw some of the stems. Gonna go there. And these stems are kind of funny shapes, curves. Okay, and then here, put down there. It's kind of weird looking. Let's see. Okay. That. All right, I think we're good there. Look at the dusty pink color. Ooh, I do like dusty pink. Rusty and bright green sound super fun to me. Ooh, yeah, Itoya. This one's a nice one. That's very, very pretty. That is a great ink. Sakura Muri. I have this ink. Now I want to use it. That's so pretty. That's a great pen. Is it an older pen? It must be from a while back. Dusty pink's nice, yeah. There's different shades of pink, red, that I'm more drawn to than probably their true colors. I don't like them to be too bright or too red, too pink. But I love the other variations of them, grayish variety. Okay, I'm just gonna add some leaves now. There's just a lot kind of just bunched around. That's fine because it'll add some nice greenery in here. And there's kind of a lot here, so I'm going to do that. Okay. I want the stems to be a little bit more green, so I think I'm just gonna use the marker or the brush pen. It's a fine tip to add a little bit more color. it like this for now. I don't want it too dark, even though it is in this picture. The leaves are pretty dark and they're kind of like just, you know, bunches a little bit. But it just looks a little too messy for me. So I'm just gonna leave it a little bit lighter so it doesn't take away from the lightness of the flowers that are already here. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more detail. So to do that, I'm going to use a Tombow mono drawing pen in 005. So it is like a needlepoint almost, a very, very, very fine tip. So if you can see it. But it's great because with this, you know, you can add just enough details to sort of make some of those flowers pop a little bit more than they do on paper, which, you know, this is very pretty, but it's kind of hard to tell where the petals are. So it'd be kind of nice to add a little bit more detail. Plus, it's more drawing practice for me, so I kind of like to practice the different shapes of, you know, the seeds or the center, as well as petals and leaves. So the more I can do that, the better it is. And to do that, I usually just use the color I have here as a guide. And so that's why I like putting color down first, because it gives me an outline of where I want those petals to be. And so it may not look exactly like the reference photo, but that's okay. Okay, so those flowers, this, I drew this bud a little bit too big, but it's okay. Okay, so those are the flowers. Done. And now I'm just going to add a little bit more detail to the leaves, which are also equally interesting and fun to draw sometimes because of the different lines and shapes you can draw them in. I feel that like they're less pressure to make them look like a specific flower. You can kind of get away with different lines. All right. So that's kind of it. Also draw a line for the stems. Try and make them look a little straighter as they move downwards, but or not. I'm just gonna make that look even more uneven. Okay. All right. It's very pretty. It's more pinkish. It's more pink than the reference photo, but that's okay. Sometimes it's hard to get those really natural colors exact because, you know, they're like, you know, just a slight shade off of a color that I have. And unless I'm gonna spend time mixing colors and stuff like that, which I just don't want to, I'm good with this. I will swatch the colors though, just so I remember what markers I used and what colors I used. I'm gonna do it down here. So we have 673 and 757, and then we have 025. And then 076. And 177. And then this. Oh, actually. Okay. Autumn Anemone. pale purple, but mine is probably a little bit more pink. Yeah, it's in the fall. All right. Very nice. I like the colors. I love the, I actually love this palette. I think this is really, really nice. So there's that. Thank you, Spicy Miso. I do like that. All right. So I have a bit more time. So I will do the same thing. Attempt the same drawing. But I'm going to do it with coloring pencils, pencil crayons, colored pencils, whatever you may call them. Let's put these aside though. Put them in here. And use this cotton notebook. It's a slightly off-white color. It's not totally cream, but it just makes it nice and warm. Fits well with spring, right? Even though they're fall flowers, which, I mean, they're kind of spring colors. Okay, so for this, I'm using Tombow Irojiten colored pencils because they are lovely and creamy and very smooth, and there are a lot of colors. So I'm going to do the same thing where I'm just going to pick a few colors that I like, that I think fit the palette. So let's see. You're not too bright. Do that. Greens, a dark. Sure. And then a purpley lilac, maybe something like this. I think I like this. Maybe this. Okay, let's go with these colors. So we have a yellow. Two greens. And purple. This is a more, this is like a gray purple, which is kind of nice. This is like a lavender, and then we have darker. So let's do that. And then this way it would look different than this drawing, because the colors are gonna, in terms of color anyway. So let's start with this gray purple. And I'm gonna draw that flower first. But again, I'm just gonna first put down a little bit of color and draw an outline of where I kind of want it to sit. And then layer some color on. and then add some details. So it's a little bit different because with colored pencils, you can't blend as well as you can with markers or anything that's water-based. But that's okay. It's just a different style too. Okay, then some buds. Okay. And then even darker. I'm gonna add the yellow in now for the center. And then add some color around it, I think. Okay, now the stems and leaves. Could have just used one green, but I don't know. I kind of like the contrast of a lighter green, a darker green, especially because you can't really blend those colors in. So kind of like playing around with having it look lighter in some areas and darker in other areas by using different colors. So now I'm going to add a little bit of detail. So again, kind of practicing the same lines that I have already done. So this is like, you know, even more practice, which is good, because it just keeps adding and building muscle memory. But it's also kind of fun to do it on different types of paper. And so just comparing what it feels like to use a fine liner on Midori cotton paper versus Canopus. Definitely feel a little bit more of a catch or feedback. So those are the flowers. And then I'm just going to add some detail to the leaves, and then we're done. And already this one looks a little bit closer to the colors in the photo. But all right. Okay. So same reference photo, two different ways of drawing it with different stationery supplies, whether you're into markers like brush pens, or if you're into colored pencils, graphite, and using different papers. So I'm always more of a, because I love watercolor so much, I tend to lean towards, you know, the smoother colors and blending. A little bit more vibrant, I think, to me as well. But at the same time, this is more, you know, if you're into sketching and illustrating it by using pencils and stuff, this is sort of, you know, along those same lines. So you can see it's I've been doing this for like an hour an hour and 15 minutes or so, so it doesn't have to take long, you know, and I did two, so really it doesn't have to take too long. You don't have to sort of put a lot of pressure on yourself to get every single detail right. It doesn't have to look exactly like the reference photo. I've been practicing for quite a while, so you know, to me, it might be a little faster and I might get a little bit more detail in, but at the same time, these are not flowers I draw every day, and I may not even see them in person ever in real life. So it's kind of nice to keep practicing. And the more you practice, like I said, the more you're able to pull from muscle memory and what you've seen in the past and what you've sort of, you know, put your hand down to mimic and to draw the lines and to study the lines as well. And it just brings out more confidence, right? So if you're kind of looking at this being like, I cannot do this, I get it, but we all have to start somewhere. So start and then keep doing it and keep building on it. And then, you know, it doesn't always get easier, because especially if you keep challenging yourself to draw things you have never seen, but it does give you more confidence because you've seen these types of shapes, you've drawn these types of lines before, and it's just a variation of that. So it does get more fun, though, I will say that. So it's kind of a nice way of exploring different colors as well, and different palettes, colorways, right? If you like more of a pinkish, magenta, that kind of style versus, you know, lilac or lavender type of colors. You can't stand marker noises. Why are you here, Spicy? That's all I'm doing is marker noises. But not so much, actually, right? My marker noises aren't that bad or that loud anyways. Yeah, so, there's different ways of doing it. And if you don't like, using markers, then yeah, pencil crayons or colored pencils, or just pencil to paper, right? Like you can, instead of adding color, you could use shading. So a darker graphite for shadows and stuff like that. And then you can make it interesting that way. But yeah, it's just kind of nice to practice this and get different colors in. Does remind me of spring, even though it says it's a fall flower. I feel like these are the kind of vibes that, bring out spring, and flowers blooming and stuff, right? Like I love all the little buds that are here. Just flowers ready to open up and bloom and just be really beautiful. Oh, Olive Octopus, thank you. Yes, how's it going? You like pencil more. Yeah, okay, gotcha. I didn't see that before you said can't stand marker noises, Spicy Miso. But yeah, if you're more of a pencil person or colored pencils, that kind of thing, then there are definitely different ways you can play around with color, play around with shapes and lines. And obviously it doesn't have to be flowers. It could be anything that you're into, urban sketching, anything like that too. Take out your notebooks and, try out your stationery supplies in them and have fun. But that's it for me. What more can I... So next stream will probably be Wednesday. Same time, same place. And I probably will be painting with fountain pens. I say probably because... I mentioned last week that my mother-in-law is staying with us, visiting for a couple of weeks. And so I'm going to try and stick to routines as much as possible, especially streaming, because I obviously love hanging out with you, and doing this creative, practices on stream is really helpful for me as well. And, being able to just hang out virtually and, play with stationery is really, really fun. So I want to keep doing that. So Wednesday, be here. I'll be here, hopefully, and we'll do a little bit of ink painting and exploring inks, and yeah, hang out some more. But unless you have any questions, you can catch the replay on YouTube if you missed the outset of this stream, or catch the VOD on Twitch. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, it's from Corolla, and that's where I'll post updates on my streaming schedules and things like that. I'll also post photos of this, and hopefully that sort of encourages you to get out your stationery supplies and practice drawing with them, and just kind of play with colors and draw what you like and just keep doing that. So yeah, if I don't see you, I'll see you in other streams, Olive Octopus, Brad, etc., Inkdependence Mike. But if I don't see you, have a great rest of your week. Keep it chill, relax, take a slow start to the week if you can, and get outside if you can, especially once we get into spring weather and summer weather and stuff like that. Try and get outside, and draw what you see outside as well. And I'll see you around the streams. I'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great week. Appreciate you, friends. Go play with stationery. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others. And I'll see you, okay? Bye, friends.